Hi guys, it's Mrs. Williams. All right, so today we're going to look at solving quadratic equations by factoring. All right, so make sure you have your notes, make sure you have checked your tech, and let's make sure you're ready to go. Now, before we actually solve a quadratic equation, I want to make sure you know, and I don't care that you know the name, but that you know the concept of the zero product property. It says if A times B equals 0, then A equals 0 or B equals 0. What that means is if two numbers multiplied as 0, one of those numbers had to have been 0. It's possible they were both 0, but at least one of those numbers had to have been 0. It's the only way to multiply two numbers and get 0 as your product. Now that's going to come into play as we're solving, so just keep that in your back pocket for now. So now, solving a quadratic equation by factoring. When they ask you to solve a quadratic equation, what we are actually doing is we are finding the roots. We're finding the roots of the equation. We're finding the zeros of the function. Or we can also say that we are finding the x-intercepts of the graph, where the graph crosses the x-axis. So all of these things mean the same thing. Solve the quadratic equation, find the roots, find the zeros, find the x-intercepts of the graph. They all mean the same thing. So now what do we do when they actually want us to solve? The first step is to get everything to one side of the equation so that it's equal to 0. So we're going to have the equation equals 0. That's the goal. So if we take a look at the example that I've given here, solve x squared plus 12 equals 7x. That 7x is the only thing on the right-hand side. We need to move it to the left. So in order to do that, we do the opposite operation. We subtract 7x, and we do it from both sides. Now, there are no like terms there, so this is just going to be x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals, wait for it, 0. Yay! Okay. Now the next step, ready for step 2, is to factor the expression. So if I look at this is a trinomial. So I am factoring. I would need 2 parentheses, and my variable is x, so x goes in the beginning of each. We need, and notice I keep writing my equals 0 here because it's an equation. I can't just write part of it. I need 2 numbers that multiply to positive 12 and add to negative 7. Do you know what those numbers are? Multiplies to positive 12, adds to negative 7. That would be negative 3 and negative 4. Okay? Now, step 3. Set each factor equal to 0. That's where the zero product property comes in. If the factor x minus 3 times the factor x minus 4 gives us 0, that means that either the factor x minus 3 is 0 or the factor x minus 4 is 0. And this is where a lot of teachers will tell you you're doing your t-chart, right? You're going to do your t-chart here. We set each factor equal to 0. And then we solve for x in each little equation, because now we have 2 little equations, x minus 3 equals 0 and x minus 4 equals 0. To solve the first one, we would do the opposite and add 3 to both sides, and we get that x equals 3. For the other one, we would add 4 to both sides of that little equation, and we would get x equals 4. And now we have our solution. And notice we have 2 solutions. We have x equals 3 and x equals 4. Now there is one thing I'm going to caution you on. Okay? If you are asked for a solution set, because I guarantee you we're going to ask you for that. If you're asked for a solution set, you have to rewrite this as x equals, and then in funky set brackets, you write your 3, 4, and it has to be those funky set brackets, not parentheses and not square brackets. Has to be the funky. Do the best you can. I don't care if you're just writing like a, like that. Show me you're trying to make funky set brackets. Trust me, it took me a long time to be able to draw them. Okay, so don't worry about it. Do the best you can. All right, so if it's asked for a solution set, you have to have your answers written in the set brackets. Let's try one more. Okay, so we have 3x squared plus 18x plus 24 equals 0. Now the nice thing with this problem, everything is already to one side, so we don't have to move anything. So step 2, we have to factor. But guess what? There's more than one step to factoring here. There's a greatest common factor. What number goes into 3, 18, and 24? 3 does. So we're going to pull out that 3. And 3x squared divided by 3 is x squared. 18x divided by 3 is 6x. And 24 divided by 3 is 8. Notice my equals 0 keeps coming down. Now that greatest common factor, we pulled it out and we bring it down. We pull it down, pull it out, pull it down. We now have a trinomial here. So we're going to need 2 parentheses. Our variable is x, so it goes first in each. I am factoring. What multiplies to a positive 8 and adds to positive 6? If they're multiplying to positive 8, the signs are going to be the same. And if they're adding to a positive 6, they're both going to be positive. So we have positive and positive. What numbers multiply to 8? That would be 1 and 8, 2 and 4. If you add them up, 1 and 8 is 9, 2 and 4 is 6. That's the pair that we want. So plus 2, plus 4, and don't forget it's equal to 0. All right, next step. Set each factor equal to 0. Wait a minute. Can 3 equal 0? No way. This part doesn't work. So we know that's not the one that's going to be equal to 0. It's all right. We still have x plus 2 could equal 0, or we have x plus 4 equals 0. So we still have 2 factors equal to 0. We're going to solve. We do that by subtracting 2 on both sides, and we get x equals negative 2. And for x plus 4 equals 0, we subtract 4 from both sides of that equation, and we get x equals negative 4. And now we have our 2 solutions. Great job, guys. So when we want to solve a quadratic equation by factoring, first step, get everything to one side so that it's equal to 0. Factor that expression, and you might have to factor completely. Set each factor equal to 0, and then solve each mini equation. All right, guys, great job. Don't forget to come up with your question, and I'll see you guys next class. Enjoy your day.